Welcome back to your Game of Thrones recaps. Today is Season 5, Episode 8, Hardhome. My name's Kyle Maddock, and let's get right to it. Whoa! There's a lot to get through this week, and even though we only want to talk about one thing, we have to cover the rest. So here goes. In King's Landing, Cersei has been locked up for the crimes of incest and murder and other supervillain things. She swears that she didn't do any of it, her kids just happen to look like her brother by coincidence, and King Robert died by coincidence, and she paid Lancel to spy with sex by coincidence. But the church isn't having any of it. But up north, in Braavos, Arya has a new job selling oysters to people who don't know that oysters are disgusting. As Jaqen takes his cut of the oyster sales, he tells her to spy on a merchant who refuses to pay money to the family of a client who died at sea. Arya watches the merchant, who tells customers they're in good hands with him and they can save 15% or more by switching to him. Arya returns to the temple and Jaqen explains everything to her because that's what this show has become. Long-winded monologues about insurance fraud. So, there's this guy with a skull helmet. In Meereen, Tyrion meets with Daenerys to be her new advisor, and he has a great interview, really nailing his experience and his 5-year plan. Ser Jorah is not as lucky and gets banished from the city. Again. Dany then tells Tyrion that he's hired, and he immediately takes a sick day. Then Jon goes into a tent. At Winterfell, Sansa finally confronts Theon about killing her brothers, and he says he didn't actually kill her brothers, just two random farm boys whose lives didn't matter. Sansa is relieved to hear this and asks him where Bran and Rickon are, and Theon shrugs and says, for all I know, Bran could be living in a tree, and Rickon could have run off with a wildling woman. Oh, speaking of wildling women, at Castle Black, Sam is visited by Ollie, who asks why Jon trusts the wildlings, since they burned his whole village and murdered and ate his family, and generally speaking, those aren't the behaviors of trustworthy people. Sam says that it wasn't an easy decision for Jon to make, and that they're going to need the wildlings to help fight the White Walkers. Then Sam looks into the camera and winks. Next week on Game of Thrones. Just kidding! Finally, yes! Up north, Jon and Tormund arrive at Hardhome. The Lord of Bones comes over to say hi, and Tormund gives him the typical wildling greeting of killing him. Then they go to the big wildling meeting in a hut. Every kind of wildling is represented. Thens, giants, egrets, you name it. Jon introduces himself, and the new wildling leader tells Jon that she's heard just how much Jon Snow knows. Not understanding, Jon tells the wildlings that they're allowed to come to Castle Black, just like their leader, Mance Rayder, did, and they'll be given lands to farm, and a note saying sorry. The wildlings consider his offer, then asks what happened to Mance, and Jon says he killed Mance, but there's no way he'll get them killed. And then Jon looks into the camera and winks. Finally, Tormund is able to convince the wildlings to join them, because living in a frozen wasteland is terrible, and Tormund is much cooler than Jon. Suddenly, a cold winter storm comes in from the north. How cold was it? It's so cold it turns everyone into an ice zombie. As the zombies attack the wildling village, we learn that it's not a storm at all. It's White Walker magic. Jon sees the White Walker leaders sitting on a ridge like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and before he can tell Tormund how excited he is about the new X-Men movie next year, he's suddenly attacked by one. Jon somehow manages to use Longclaw to kill him, either because it's forged from Valyrian steel, or because it's coated in Rain-X. Still, the zombie army is too much, and Jon has to retreat to the boats. And then we see the evilest White Walker of them all, the Night's King, who turns all of the dead bodies into zombies. And as the king stares at him, Jon doesn't back down and challenges him to a steel cage match in WrestleMania 47. Arya learns about the exciting world of comprehensive coverage. Jaime does something, and Dany makes the city go crazy by clapping. And there you have it, your recap for Season 5, Episode 8, Hardhome. My name's Kyle Maddock, and if you like this video, make sure to click that like and subscribe button below, and leave a comment. Join the conversation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.